What is up, boys? Dex here, back with a new video on what my current morning routine is looking like, trying to build as much muscle as we possibly can. I'm starting my day pretty much the exact same way. Now, I really like just getting out and just getting some actual sunlight in my eyes. Mind you, the day is definitely not like that today, but just a little bit of movement in the morning before I actually start stuff just helps me out so much. And I'm actually walking with a purpose. I'm heading to a shop for a little secret tech that I'm going to show you boys that helps me kind of get through the morning a little bit. But I really don't like having like a super kind of routine-y morning. It was really helpful while I was on prep, but I'm kind of trying to stick to this somewhat sort of baseline that's working at the moment, aligning with my goals, and then I just kind of work around that. The biggest thing for me though is getting up around kind of 7:30-ish. I've got my alarm set for 7:15 at the moment, and I'm usually up a tiny little bit before that. So it's about 30 minutes there and back to the shops, which is an absolutely perfect little walk to start the day. Also gets that step count going, because yeah, I feel like if you don't start that right away, that creeps up so much at the end of the day, and then you check your amount and you've still got like an hour of walking, and it's like, yeah, it's one of the worst feelings ever. So yeah, really good kind of 30-minute little loop. Grab to the shops and I will show you what that secret tech is. Boom! Would you look at that, free coffee. So if you didn't know, if you have a My Waitrose card, the kind of Waitrose membership, which is free, you can go in and you can just scan that and you get a free coffee or a free cappuccino. I just do a black coffee because that's what I found that I really liked on prep, and I just keep that going. But yeah, it's like literally insane. If you're doing that every single morning, like imagine you're going to a coffee shop, that's like £4 every single morning, 28 quid at the end of the week, for completely free. You get the exact same thing. I just like having it in this shaker cup, and what I'll either do is sip it on the way back, or get back, put some ice in it, and I'll have like an iced Americano. Yeah, I only found out about that like a couple weeks ago, and ever since I have been absolutely rinsing it. But yeah, we're gonna head back. My routine is actually changed ever so slightly at the moment, because I have some exams that I've got to study for. So I'm doing a little bit of studying for those in the morning, around an hour or so. We'll get back, get that done. I won't bore you guys with that. And then we'll get into the first meal. So managed to get around an hour of work done this morning, which is pretty ideal, but now we can get into our first meal, my favorite meal of the day. Got a couple things just set out. We have some rice cakes, frozen fruits, oats, this My Protein flavor powder cereal milk, which is the best thing in the world. The other thing that I want to grab is one of these bad boys. Now, I made a whole bunch of bagels and I only have 3 left. These kind of sort of high protein-ish bagels. Literally, it's like my favorite thing that I've been having after prep. So I just kind of made my own ones. Little bit of a better macros. They're around kind of 10 grams of protein, around 45 grams of carbs. It's not too bad. Cinnamon and raisin flavor though, absolutely awesome. Now, my first meal isn't super consistent at the moment. It's kind of staying somewhat similar, but it is changing every single day, and it's some kind of form of oats or rice mixed with a couple different things. So I'll usually start with 100 grams of oats going in here, and then fill it up with a little bit of water. Don't really use like an exact amount, kind of just until it overflows the oats. And then we can chuck that bad boy on the hob. And what my biggest bit of advice while that guy's cooking, if you really don't enjoy making your meals or you kind of get a little bit overwhelmed, just clean up as you're going. Like I'm putting these oats straight away because I'm not going to use them anymore. And that's just one less thing that I'm needing to worry about. And let's get everything else set up. So I'm going to go with 2 of these rice cakes just here. Pop those guys out. And then again, just chucking this guy away. Okay, oats are starting to bubble a little bit. Just give them a little mix around. And what I will usually add to pretty much everything after prep is some salt and some cinnamon. So let's get those guys in here. I really like having everything in these individual pots. It just makes kind of prepping everything so easy. So I'll do like probably a pinch and a half of salt. Really good. You just want some salt before you go and train, which is ideal because this is our pre-workout meal, which is why it's a little bit higher in carbs and not super focused on protein or fats, because that's just going to slow down our digestion, which is not what we want. But yeah, around a pinch and a half of salt, pinch and a half of cinnamon. Just get that guy in there. Give it a good mix around. Maybe turn the heat down ever so slightly. And I usually will add this once it's kind of somewhat gloopy, because if you just add it instantly, the cinnamon tends to really bunch up. But if you do it now, it actually just comes out really good. So keep going with that. The texture that I kind of like is almost there, is when it sort of just holds on to the spoon. Again, we can chuck these guys away. That's one less thing to worry about. All right, that is our oats done. So we will get those in the bowl. Yeah, look at that, like super thick. And I'm actually gonna put you boys on some hidden tech. You see how there's all of this stuff kind of left in the pot? So rather than just washing that out, what I will do is chuck this back on the hob, have the heat at a kind of medium-ish, and you see that this is starting to steam ever so slightly, and if you just leave that kind of for a minute or so, everything in here is going to flake up, and you get these sort of oat flakes that you can chuck on your oat bowl, and it actually just adds this tiny little bit of crispiness that is unbelievable. And while we're waiting for that, we can cut up our bagel and then get him toasting, and then chucking into our oats to add a little bit of flavor. We're going with this Myprotein flavor powder. 3 grams is the serving size, so I'm just using 3 scoops of this little spoon. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Don't need to be super accurate, kind of 3 of those scoops is pretty much exactly 3 grams. And then we can give this a good mix around in here, just incorporating all of this. And that flavor powder is so sick. It's actually got like little bits of biscuit in it, or little bits of cookie. So it's so good. And it's only 10 calories for 1 serving, which is pretty much nothing. I do still log it, but it's really not actually needed. So there we go, that's everything combined. After that, I grab my 2 rice cakes, flatten out the oats as best we can, and then kind of break these guys up over it, almost like a little kind of cereal-ish thing. And it just adds this little layer of crunch, which is super cool. Then we're going in, I've got 200 grams of blackberries just here. Yeah, 199, that will do. I mean, boys, look at that. Homemade raisin bagels, so sick. And they actually have such a good bit of bounce. And let me just break that so you can hear that. Really, actually, I'm super happy with how these came out. And then the final thing is just 15 grams of honey over the top of everything. And now if we check on our oats, you see how all of that has just come up, that we can just sprinkle on the top of our oat bowl. Okay, so everything is all combined. Literally, it's like 5 minutes. It's super simple. Everything just comes together very nicely. Again, this is our pre-workout meal, so it's super high in carb, just ideal for what we want pre-training. But yeah, we're gonna get this guy down, and then we're heading to the gym. Alright boys, we just got to the gym. My main kind of goal at the moment, I'm just really trying to get as strong as I possibly can, and the main lift that I'm really focusing on is bringing up the squat, so let's get into it. Okay, right, squats going pretty well. Adding reps is literally all that I can ask for. On the cord extension, we stacked this guy out a couple sessions ago, so we have got the gym pin to use, as well as a seat belt, which is somewhere around here. But yeah, we're just gonna get into this and then get into the rest of the session. Alright, and that is our session all wrapped up. I had actually such a good session, so much energy from that pre-workout meal as well as that coffee. It's just before midday, so it's technically still the morning. So we're gonna head back and then grab our post-workout meal so I can show you boys exactly what that is looking like. Let's get to it. Okay, and that is us back from the gym, back in the kitchen, ready to craft up our second meal. It's actually a little bit after 12, so it's not technically the morning anymore, but we still need to get this post-workout meal in. So the post-workout meal usually changes around a little bit, and I usually fluctuate between having some kind of skyr or some kind of chicken, rice, broccoli thing. And at the moment, we're going for some skyr, and I'd usually have this with some oats, but because I had oats this morning, I'm having it with some cereal, these shredded wheat raisin wheats that are absolutely brilliant. So we have this vanilla skyr. I'd usually go for the kind of non-flavored, just the original skyr, but we've got this guy that has 39 grams of protein. We're gonna go with some honey, frozen fruit, and then salt and cinnamon. And then what I have in here that I will show you boys is some almond butter that I have made homemade that is absolutely delicious. It's literally just whizzed up almonds that I've roasted for around 10 minutes and it came out absolutely brilliant. So we're gonna top it with that. Again, these are some fats which aren't super necessary post-workout. Definitely just want to focus on the protein from the skyr, carbs from the cereal, but it's really not at all detrimental to have some fats. And it also means that I'm not left with like 40 grams of fat for my final meal to get down, which is can be fun, but it's definitely not needed. So we're gonna start getting our skyr, and you boys know with the lid, that always gets licked clean. Then we're gonna get our skyr just in the bowl, just get all of that. So that's 450 grams of skyr. And then same exact script as with this morning, around like a pinch and a half of salt, not nowhere near as necessary, but it just adds a little bit of flavor. And then again, a pinch and a half of cinnamon because it tastes brilliant. Just giving this guy a quick mix around. And usually I'd add some honey or something to this if it was original skyr, but because that this is this already flavored one, you just don't need to. Like, it's already so sweet, already so nice, just straight out of the pot. You could genuinely just have that as a snack straight out of the pot. Right, and once you've kind of got your base layer, this is where you can get pretty crafty. I'm gonna go in with 200 grams again of these summer fruits. And then after that, 50 grams, which is just over 1 serving of these shredded wheats. And if you're not wanting to weigh it out, it's basically kind of 2 handfuls. Yeah, so look, exactly, 2 handfuls is exactly 50 grams. So you can just kind of eyeball this basically. Then I'm gonna chuck on another 100 grams of mixed berries on top of that. And then from here, a really good strat, whenever you're weighing out anything, I'm gonna do 20 grams of almond butter. Whenever you're weighing out anything that's gonna stick to the spoon, what I'd recommend is actually putting that on the scale, then zeroing that out. And what that is gonna mean is that anything and everything that you take out, including the stuff that's on the spoon, is going to be included. So look, that's 20 grams exactly. Finish it off super easily with, again, 15 grams of honey. Bang, and there we have it, our post-workout meal looking super, super good. The peanut butter or the almond butter that I've got on the top is genuinely so, so good. If you haven't tried that, making your own one, it is so worth doing and so incredibly easy. What I will usually do with this, rather than eating it straight away, is I'll chuck it in the freezer for around 30 minutes, go and have a shower, maybe do a tiny little bit of work, and that just solidifies all the flavors, makes it taste that even little bit better, but it's just completely optional. You can absolutely demolish this right as it is. And there we have it. That is my full morning routine on what I'm doing to try and build as much muscle as I possibly can. This is just a rough baseline and I'm trying to stick to this as much as possible. But if there are some days where I'm not as good and some days where I'm even better than I was today, it just kind of changes around depending on how the day is going. But I really hope that you enjoyed. Maybe you learned something, especially that free coffee trick. If you're getting on that, it's going to save some money really, really a lot. But remember, be brave, be true, and I will catch you boys in the next one.